She's gonna be working out of 10 mayors until some such
Okay, that's your mention in the
Fall
minutes.
is right around the corner.
Be Christmas pretty soon.
Don't say that too loud.
I know it.
But that means I'll get a birthday.
I know.
So,
Who celebrates the whole month?
Seems like this year just started, now it's over with.
I got a look on. Oh, no, she, I mean,
Hope she ain't indisposed. Mm-hmm. Okay.
you can call it, you can
It's
go
over
into the
call.
link.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you going into the link? Oh, okay. All right then, bye dear. She's getting them.
Yeah, 'cause they're like Tracy's the only one that's on.
Yeah.
We'll give her a minute or two. Monthly meeting of the Little Rock Housing Authority, doing business as the Metropolitan Housing Alliance is called to order. Michael, will you please call the roll?
All right. Chairman Lowe,
Here?
Vice Chairman Lindsay,
Here.
Commissioner Jackson, Commissioner Anthony,
Here.
Commissioner Peterson.
Present.
Is the quorum present?
Right on T.
Thank you.
All right, you have before you the agenda, any adoption, changes, or modifications?
Mr. Chairman, I move for the adoption of the agenda for today's meeting.
Second.
Been moved and probably second for the adoption of the agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None. You have before you 2 months of minutes, changes, deletions, subtractions, additions.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
And I,
Because there are two sets, and in one of the meetings, there was a lengthy presentation involved in that one. And the spacing, there's more spacing on this set, so I might need to condense it, but
Yeah, whoever did that really went into details, and I appreciate that because that's been one of the things that we've been hit with. Mr. Chairman, is it proper order for us to table the approval of the minutes until the next meeting?
Well, you table a prior month's meeting for this meeting.
We did.
We did one for this meeting, we did.
Right.
So what are you saying? We can't,
Well, I'm saying it can't go into perpetuity, and that's why the whole reason of tabling is for a definitive date and time period to address the issue that's on the table.
Wow, we got it.
Now, the suggestion is we can adopt the prior months
that's what I would like
and
to do.
then
Yes,
put
yes.
this one on the
Okay.
table.
I would like
Okay, as you said.
that we adopt prior month, we approve.
That would be the month of July.
July
July.
21,
Yes,
set 1.
yeah.
So
We can come back.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes dated July 21, 2022.
Second,
It's been moved and properly second for the adoption of the July minutes. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None. Now, I entertain a motion to table August minutes.
motion we obtain August minutes until next meeting.
Second.
Been moved and properly second, that the minutes from the board meeting in August be tabled until next month. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. Have one card, Mr. Rex Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, if you'd like to come up.
Rick Johnson?
That's you.
I don't hear well.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I have a question about some payments that were deducted out of my landlord deal. They paid me and then they turned around and deducted the March and April payment.
Just give me another one and I think we'll be fine. Thank you, sir.
Now, they paid March and April, and then they turned around and deducted it from me. And my question, the rent, the lady was still coming and going in the house. The rent was paid through housing. So my hand was tied. I can't throw out somebody that's got a current rent, the rent's current. So, but they turned around and you can tell by the date of this letter that the only correspondence I got was the date of the fact that wasn't gonna pay March and April. I would have dealt with it, I wouldn't have to be here, I would have dealt with it back at that time. But the rent was paid, the labor was coming and going, the dog was there, my hands were tied as far as being mean to a tenant to pay current. And then they turned around and withdrew 2 payments from me.
Now, when you say coming and going, what do you mean?
She's still in the house.
Sir?
When you say coming and going, I mean,
Well, when I don't live over there, when I was over there, I'd see
she
activity.
was still in the,
Yes, sir.
Still-
Evident the people coming, yes, sir.
Have you talked to this tenant?
I can't get,
Have you talked to this tenant?
Cassandra Phillips?
yeah,
No, sir, I deal off this letter with housing.
Okay, well, I'll let Director Benedict.
The only correspondence I've got is the date of this letter.
Okay.
Which is April.
See, that may be some things that she did that she kicked herself off the program, okay?
I don't hear, well, it's not your fault,
Well,
please.
that may be some things that she did that kicked herself off the program, and we don't have that information, but Director Benedicto can handle that. Because depending on if a violation occurs, you may or may not get paid, depending on when the violation occurs. And she may have did it, something she may have done. Not anything you have done, but something for her to kick her own self off the program.
Well, I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But they had paid me, my hands were tied, I couldn't do nothing.
Yeah.
Correct, we understand that.
right.
I understand that.
But there was a lack of communication
That's
from
what
our
I'm
part.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Like I say,
That's
sir,
my point.
if I'd have known that they wasn't gonna pay for these 2 months,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here, I would have cut it off at that time.
Understood,
Can we defer this to the chair, to the director?
of course.
Is she still there?
She's out of the property at this point. Is Ms. Phillips out of the property now?
And she, yes, ma'am.
She's gone. She's-
As quick as I got that letter, it was.
So you would be looking for the restoration of rent for March and April?
Yes, ma'am.
Because after
That's
April,
all
she
I'm
was
looking-
no longer
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
property?
Yes, ma'am. That's the only reason I'm here. And again, folks, if I had known that this was gonna happen, we wouldn't have this conversation, I would cut her off back at the day that this would went
But
down.
looking at this letter, she was terminated March 31st.
Yes.
So she wouldn't be entitled to April.
Yeah, but look at the date of the letter, that's first.
Yeah, April 25th, right.
So
That's first
again,
correspondence
Chairman,
I had to work with.
and Chairman, should have been appropriate notification to the
Prior
landlord.
to, right.
Yeah, to the
Yeah,
landlord.
prior to.
So I'm asking that we defer this back to the director to assure that appropriate communications was sent to the
And
landlord
what happened?
in this situation. Because like I said, the resident wasn't going to handle this. We have a responsibility to notify the landlord.
Yeah, communicate to both people.
And so, we need to verify whether or not communications
Okay,
went to
please,
him.
please.
And what is the actual date of it?
Yes, Mr. Johnson, I'll research this.
What?
I'll research this matter for March and April for these payments.
That's the only thing I'm here for.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
I understand.
And
And
if there's a conflict, if I'd known folks, we wouldn't have this
Yes, sir.
conversation.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what I
The
said.
house was not in
Communication,
maintenance and it was-
communication needs to be
That's
done
the fact.
on both
The
sides.
fact was,
Okay.
I was paid, my hands were tied, I couldn't
Yes.
evict somebody with a current.
Yeah, exactly.
yes, sir. So I will follow up with you. I'll research this matter. If you'll give me until tomorrow.
You got it.
Okay, Mr. Johnson.
I was gonna be here last time, but I was out of town.
Okay,
Anyway,
Mr. Johnson.
I thank you folks for your time.
thank
All right.
you.
I'm just a landlord that wants to do right.
And we
I'm not
appreciate
here,
that.
I'm not here to squeeze or anything, I'm just here because the way it went down, it wasn't my fault.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Got one more, Ms. Tillman? What's that?
I asked him if we were streaming.
Mhm.
Yeah, all right. How you know?
Good.
Oh, you don't? Okay, all right. That's what I
I just been having issues, like I stopped working,
Now, who are you? I'm sorry.
Shannon, Shannon
Miss Tillman.
Ms. Tillman.
and I'm a tenant.
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped working, April the 30th. And I turned in like half the paperwork, but it took my caseworker months to contact me to tell me I need to bring in extra paper. So I've been threatened 3 times to be homeless. And then I'm not working and I wake up with this on my door. And then I talk to a lead and she tell me I'm responsible for that. And that they only gonna pay my rent based upon when I turned in the completed information, when it has took my caseworker 6 months to get to this point,
Mm-hmm.
which makes no sense. And I thought that they would go back and pay my rent from the time when I stopped working, like that next month. I paid 2 extra months after I was unemployed. That don't make sense to me. But she said that's my fault, basically.
Did you ask for a re-verification of your income?
Here's everything I did.
No.
Oh,
Did she,
this right here?
did she do a re-verification of your income when you lost your job? Your caseworker?
I think I have so much stuff, because I transferred from another place, so the rule's different. And I just got, a piece of paper stating on how I feel like when somebody transfers, you should tell them how to do stuff. But I know COVID messed up a lot of stuff, but I don't know.
Okay.
I think, Ms. Tillman, I would request, did you make the caseworker that you were working with aware that you were no longer employed?
Yes, multiple times. I started doing
Did a
paperwork
re-verification
on
fix-
4/30 was the first time I put some paperwork in, even though it wasn't completed. And the lady just told me, oh, you didn't turn in something completed to the 7 months, so we can't help you with that balance.
But you made her aware
I did.
that you were no longer working.
Yes.
And there was no request for recertification based on
Yeah,
the
that
fact
should
that.
automatically kick in,
Yeah.
anytime
Yeah.
your income changes.
Like, I come from Texas, and my caseworker, I didn't get in contact with her in time, and I still paid the next month. But she went back to pay that month I paid, so when I moved, I got my money back, because she know I didn't have the income to keep paying.
Yeah.
So,
Even, you remember a young lady who got that $1,500 check from us? Same situation,
We can't, yeah.
same situation.
yeah, because that was like $1,000, I didn't have no more income.
But to give you some information, that's why I asked you, have you did any re-verification, or had anybody done any re-verification? There's a CFR that calls for disallowance of income, okay? Meaning if your income goes up, income goes down, your payments are adjusted accordingly. And I'm just trying to find out, was that information passed on to you?
No.
Once,
Like, I barely heard from my caseworker. I just got a letter August the 19th of my rent change, and I start working in April.
again, Chairman, I'm gonna defer this back to the ED for verification of documentations and communications. The truth of the matter is, if there's no, and I ain't finna do that work.
Right.
I'm gonna send it back to them.
Right.
But rarely are our residents gonna be aware of CFRs.
Of course not, and see, that's why I keep a big push,
Quote, yeah.
that
there's
big
an
push for
education
communication.
that should be done.
Mhm.
So,
And I spoke with you before, like, when, this is not the first time I had to come up in here. And I thought it was handled properly, because how can I be responsible when I don't have the income?
Well, it's not that you would be responsible,
But
it's
you gotta
that the
process.
payment would be adjusted accordingly to your
Yeah.
income, okay?
Yeah.
And what the disallowance of income does, see, there's money in there available to make up those shortfalls of your housing payment, okay? Whether or not you have any family members that may be on disability or SSI, there's money in there to do that as well. However, what the disallowance of income does, it adjusts your payment so that you may only have to meet the minimum payment, which is $50.
Right,
But if the paperwork is never done, you're not made aware of it,
right.
then it'll never happen.
I was not.
And that's
made
all I'm
aware.
saying, the communication part needs to go,
So where do
from
you
us-
get, is
from
it
us
like
to them.
paperwork I have to fill out?
Yeah.
Where do you get
Yeah.
that from? Like,
You should.
I'm not aware of simple things, because I transferred.
well, you what we call a port in.
Yeah,
You came
I
in from
mean-
Little Rock. And your deporting housing authority, all they do is send the paperwork. It's the receiving housing authority that we have the responsibility to ensure that our communications to you is valid and that you understand.
And that didn't happen.
Once you port out of Texas and port in here, now you're our responsibility.
Yeah, like, I didn't get no information, okay, like, if you have an income change, I would like to know that, because the rules are different from where I'm
No,
coming from.
Section 8 is the same all over.
So, like, down there, it's the same here, she told me
It's the same all
that,
over.
she just told me that, they don't start paying the rent until I turn in the completed paperwork, not the first time I made them aware.
That is correct. That is correct.
So she,
And then any units you get into has to be inspected by us.
before we
well, my unit never got it.
That may be the problem.
Yeah, what? Yeah.
Chairman.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't remember all the details, but I do remember some of it, and it was a communication issue and a paperwork with the housing specialist. And it sounds like what we need to do here is provide more support in making sure that all the paperwork is complete. I think the first
Right.
time, the packet was incomplete, but you was not made aware of
I
that
didn't know what
until.
all I needed to do, because I never really
it was new to you. This,
Got
yeah,
anything,
yeah.
any information on the rules here.
Okay. And
It
so-
was a big lack of communication support, all that.
And but just to acknowledge, when did we fill all those vacancies? We just filled those vacancies.
Yes.
And so we were also down. We were short in that department, and that's no excuse.
Yeah,
It's just
you
to
told me
acknowledge
that.
all the parameters of why this might have happened. And the
Yeah.
fact that we were down so many folk during that period of time might be why
Yes.
it fell through the cracks. But again, Ms. Tillman.
Are you still in the unit?
Yes, but it has.
It has what?
Saying something about 3 days.
3
Is
days
this what you're
eviction.
looking for?
Yeah, that 3 days
Yeah.
eviction, that's really our constitution. They have to serve you with papers and take you
Yeah,
to
and I
court.
told her it'd take more than 3 days to
Yeah.
pay
Yeah, but
her
it be
like.
the 3-day notice begins the
Yeah,
process.
yeah.
Begins the process.
This what you-
But Ms.
So
Benedicto
we'll
will
do
be-
that,
she'll
you know,
be-
Ms. Tillman, I'll follow up with you and we can provide more support along this process. It sounds like that's what we're needing to do here. We are now fully staffed and we're in a better position to do that. So, we want you to get your service and keep your housing for sure. So, if you would just leave your contact information with the person that helped at the front desk, Ms. Shanine. And like, I sat down and spoke with you and spent time with you in here last time. We can do
Yeah.
that again, and we'll make sure, and I'll make sure you get the support you need to get you through the process.
Okay, 'cause
Okay?
getting these things is not fun.
I know it.
It's a process.
It is. It's a very paperwork heavy, so we'll make sure you have everything in, all complete, so that we can push you on through. Okay?
So I'm just like gonna, have her make a copy of this and I'll put my number on this so you'll know what it's about.
That sounds good. Thank you, Ms. Tillman.
Thanks.
All right, now. Let the record reflect that Commissioner Jackson is present.
Amen.
Sorry about this.
Director Benedicto.
Yes, sir.
Got a family member, you know, they come first. When they ask,
We
they
were just
come
talking about that. That's exactly right. Yes, sir.
they come first.
Yes, sir.
All right, Chairman Lowe, if you're ready for me.
Yes, ma'am.
Housing Choice Voucher Section 8 report. So I do need to announce that we do have an hire for the position. Patrice Brumfield is the newly hired HCV administrator. She's taking care of a critical issue today, but she will be present, looking forward to being present at the next board meeting. She was able to provide the report for the month, and I can go over those numbers, which is in your board packet as well. And so, as you're getting there, I'll start with the Housing Choice Voucher Section 8 program, and we're at 84% vouchers utilized. Mainstream, 64% utilized. Elm Street, 73%. Emergency housing vouchers, 45%, and Foster Youth Independence, 40%. In all these programs, we've taken at least a percentage point cut, if not two, in all of them. But as Commissioner Anthony just said, we are just now getting fully staffed and operational. Just to kind of color it a little bit more, we have been hit with another positive COVID-19 situation where we have employees quarantining. At one point, they were able to continue working when that happened. At this point, they're using, sick leave if it's available, but they're not continuing to work. And this is kind of our second time in recent weeks that we're staffed, but we're not effectively functioning full staff because we're still managing this COVID-19. So I'm going to work with Ms. Brumfield to try to come up with a game plan, because we can't keep having interruptions in working as we're dealing with COVID-19, because it really does, as you can see, it affects our tenants, breakdowns in communication. So we are going to come with something and propose
Let me ask you,
to you all.
is the majority of staff on one time period, one work period? As far as time? Everybody comes in from 8 to 5:30?
Majority is on the flex, the 4 days,
Mhm.
working till, like, from 7:30 to 6:30, off on Friday, or off on that Monday.
Mhm.
That's the majority of them.
So,
Most Monday through Thursday.
well, I just have a concern that it's not evenly split, as far as,
Coverage. or-
yeah, coverage is
Is there
concerned.
Okay.
That's a concern that I have. Everybody, say out of 10 folks,
Yeah.
8 of them on Monday through Thursday, then what does that do for Tuesday through Friday with only 2 people on that day?
So so it's not quite that slim on Fridays, so maybe I need to get a breakdown.
Mondays?
Or Mondays. We have one person for sure that takes that Monday. But what I can do is just get a breakdown of who is where and when. But a lot of them are flexing, but we still are operational on Fridays with more than 2 people. So, and if we need to just move, the schedule to just regular Monday through Friday, then that's what we'll do. But I think our main issue is figuring out how to navigate when we have a COVID exposure, and now we're down 5 people in Section 8 right now.
Have you reviewed the COVID policy? Because there was an investment in computers that allowed the representatives to work from home. So there shouldn't really be a breakdown.
Yeah, but remember, we banned that.
If they're isolated
Yeah, but we would have to have some type of reinstitution.
of the work from home.
Yep. And we knew
Commissioner
the
Anthony.
abuse.
You're right, we have the capability to work from home. IT make sure our VPNs are functional, but just in honoring the policy.
I see we had the abuse.
Okay.
No phone calls being received, couldn't measure the output of work, and the concerns that people are abusing the work from home policy.
I would ask that the board revisit that policy.
Yeah.
Simply because there is, the system should tell when people are online and when they're not.
Yes.
That's the system that we purchased and invested in because of what was taking place. So I would ask that we revisit the policy and set some parameters, because I think that was what was lacking. Not only that, the real abuse was coming from the management team more than it was from the residents, which was behavior that was passed on. So I think we need to look at that policy again to see where the abuse really was and how the policy can be managed.
Not a problem.
So it's
Yes,
2
sir.
things that we're gonna do.
Yeah. And the other street thing, in looking at Elm Street, the fact that we've got 52 and we're down 38, and we have gone through to do a lot of make-readies to make sure, but we have not had referrals back to us.
Yes.
The referrals have come over, but we've not had anybody,
To get
and
back.
that's been 30 days ago.
Yes.
So we have a waiting list of folk that by this time should have been processed.
Yes, so I did get your email on that, and I did apprise Ms. Bromfield of that. We're still communicating, so we are really having to tighten up on our processes here, because we've got vacancies, we need the lease ups, we need the utilization rate, and we're clearing up now these communication channels, and so that's where we are. So we do have the staff in place to do it now, so now it's just getting the leadership, the administration into place, and that should be
How many people have
resolved.
walked in to apply them?
We I know we got a waiting list of more than 10 right now.
No, I mean, people just walking in off the street.
Yeah, they walk in and the process requires us to refer, take their information and refer back here. And all the background and all that stuff is done by Section 8 office. Then they contact us to let us know if it's okay to contact that person to give them the move-in opportunity.
That's right.
Trying to see last time that waiting list has been worked. or it has been purged?
These are pretty much brand new, because we were at one time leased all the way up. But our waiting list now, if there's a waiting list other than the ones that, within the last 30 to 45 days,
Yes.
we've sent 10 people through.
Hmm.
So, we're just looking at 38 and we have 52 allotments. We're just wanting to lease
To
up.
hear back, yes.
Okay.
President Anthony, you'll hear back about that with those referrals. I did start working on that when I got your email, so. For Elm Street.
And so not to confuse folks, that's not MHA doing their
Yes.
work, this CAAC asked
That's
the
right.
question about the property at Elm Street.
That's right. Thank you for that clarification, yes. And so we spent a sizable time doing orientation for new employees. So we are over that hump. We even went back and oriented some of the hires that happened much earlier in the year. So at this time, we've had 14 orientations, employees to be oriented, because we've had so much onboarding. So we're moving the agency to actually start reading the handbook and understanding the handbook. It's a pretty good handbook. The policies just weren't known and referenced. It's a great tool, and I think it really will set them up for success if they know those policies and abide by them. So that's where we are there. So of course, we've got EHV, of course, we've got a really increasing all of our programs. So that's what we're working on. I did get a recommendation that I will firm it up and share with the board on a strategy to get these numbers up and see some progress by next board meeting. And I'll just firm that up and when Ms. Brunfield returns and send that out.
Strategy addressing which housing need.
Well, we're behind on some of our paperwork. I mean, quite obviously, when you're down so many employees for so long, even when you get the new hires, you've got to get caught up. And so there are some services that are offered, like from Nan McKay, and we're researching a few others, agencies that support the housing industry that help support agencies in getting caught up. And
Well, I know there's been some concern about the numbers at the towers, but that's not all on Section 8. The owners and managers of the property, based upon Part B of the HAP contract, have a responsibility to not only recruit, but to refer as well. So that total burden is not on us. And I hope they understand that they have a responsibility to recruit, refer, as far as vacancy is concerned, in dealing with those properties.
Chairman, also, would you talk a little bit about their justification for low occupancy that actually gives us a report as to why people are leaving or not occupying those units?
Well, they don't feel like they're getting the services that they deserve.
Well, but there is a report that should
Yeah.
also be coming along with that.
Yeah.
And then there's a role that the housing authority, the PHA, plays in setting how much of that income is sent back.
And see, not only that, but those 25% of the population can choose to move. They can ask for a choice mobility voucher, which becomes a Section 8 voucher, and they can leave, okay? But I'm not trying to get folks to leave. Let's deal with the problems at hand, come up with a solution so that we can move forward. But that is an option on the table. And that will not only go to the project's revenue, but the admin and reserve fees that we get off those section of project-based vouchers, it'll affect our bottom line. So it's a dual-fold purpose for me. I'm off my soapbox.
Okay, all right. Any further questions, Chairman, about the Section 8 report?
Anybody else? I mean, I'll defer until Mr. Patrice gets back.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, then, shall we move on to finance? Tamara?
All right, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I have a few things here for you guys. Hope you had a chance to look over the financial reports. There wasn't much change for August. One thing that you will see next month that we did in August, we did purchase the switches for the server. They were purchased at the end of August. So you will see that change in September's report, because we didn't actually get the invoice to pay the bill until this month. And that's gonna be on the balance sheet, because that's gonna be a fixed asset with the server. So you won't see it on the revenue, the income statement, it'll just be an increase in their assets. And also, one thing is the budget. Eric and I are going to meet Monday to discuss the needs and possibly new revenue streams on the budget for 2023. After that, you all can decide when you want to have a meeting. If you could give me a week to comprise everything and present it to you, we could possibly do anytime the week of the 26th or the week after. So you guys just let me know what's a good day for you, and we can work on that.
Now,
And then-
Tim, I heard you say you're going to be looking at the needs for 2023. So does that also say that you're going to be looking at resources to meet those needs in 2023?
Revenue, yes ma'am.
So actually what we plan on doing is coming up with some projections for 2020.
Yeah,
Is that the
Yes.
expenditure? Yeah.
yes.
So you give us what?
Well, Eric, like I said, Eric and I are gonna meet Monday. We're gonna discuss.
Yes, and what we're putting together is a tool for the board, where right now we're tracking all our procurement needs under different headings. So we know IT is a biggie, it's expensive. And so it's costly, because we know there's another server that we need in 2023. And so we're tracking it and putting it on a spreadsheet. We'll finalize it next week. And so, yeah. And-
What does that mean?
Well, we're gonna also, like you say, or, be looking for resources
Yes.
to help
Yes.
fund these needs. Because I will say this, one of our costlier needs will be a vehicle. And so, anyway, we'll talk about it, I guess.
Well, if we're in, I think for the board, with the financial viability of the agency being our responsibility and keeping the doors open before we get to the needs, we want to see what the pluses and minuses are. So, and how the operations is being held.
Well,
It's
she
great to
said
have.
during the week of the 26th, our annual meeting is on the 20th of October.
No,
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 we're
I'm
talking about
saying
this
this
month.
month. If
Next
you want, we
week after
can.
next.
Let's see,
We have-
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, we got.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the
Lights
26th.
I heard, I
still
heard,
flashing.
I heard next month.
And that's my concern,
Yeah.
is
Yes.
that, it's great to have champagne taste and not have anything but beer money or pop money, to do that. So I'm looking for that projection, really, much more aggressively than I am your wish list, for 23, because I know that's important. But I think that the board, being given the fiduciary responsibility of the agency, wants to know, how are we doing? How do we
Yes.
balance out with just folks getting the salaries that they're getting, paying the utilities, keep the lights on, gas, keep it warm in the wintertime? how are we doing? And is there a plus or minus in that column?
Yeah, yeah, we'll come up with a few things before we meet the week of the 26th. I would like to meet the week of the 26th. If you guys would, the sooner the better.
I agree.
Yeah.
So you guys just send me a good day for that week. That'll work for you all. And as far as the audit, Corey needed a few more things concerning that debt report and
This
Eric.
this is the
What is he requiring?
2021,
Well, he
No,
just
that's
wanted
all to finish 2019.
2019.
Yeah, to
What
complete
what is he requiring?
He just want to see, the final, which he has that.
Yeah, he already had that.
Yeah.
He had that a couple of months ago.
Yes. Well, he just wanted to see like responses, what did HUD suggest? And I know Erica is working on those responses to send to HUD. And he wanted to know about the repay, as far as the $258,000. So that's part of the responses that we're giving to HUD. And
I'm trying to see what does that thing have to do with an audit?
I understand.
Before 18 and 19.
It ain't got nothing,
To
it ain't got
complete
nothing.
19.
Ain't got nothing to do with it.
And to start 20 and 21.
Right.
Well,
Well, they do
So
have, the $258,000 is gonna have financial impact.
Yeah, financial impact, but it has nothing to do with the audit.
in closing the book,
Yeah, and closing the book has nothing to do with that.
19, it should.
It doesn't, but if you guys remember, I mean, that was the halt of the
Yeah, it was called
2019.
for 20 and 21.
Right.
And 2019, he don't want to.
Yeah, 2019, because they never completed it. But, I mean, if that's what he wants, no problem. But
Yeah.
I don't see the correlation between what he's asking and
And
closing the book
To
for
close,
2019.
yeah, to get 2019 closed, so,
It's just a matter of him signing off, bring it to the board, we sign off and be done with it and move on.
yeah. And that's it.
But whatever.
Okay. So we'll try to make him happy and get that started by next month, hopefully. One thing I wanted to point out, I always go to Sunset and I know they're going rag soon. But once again, those water leaks are so extreme. You know, we got credit, then we turn around and we get another $20-some thousand bill. Then we just got in a $30,000 bill. So with that $250,000 that HUD is suggesting that we put back into public housing, I just want you guys to know that a lot of that is gonna go to Sunset.
No, it shouldn't go to Sunset. It should go into our account, quote unquote, for public housing. Sunset is totally different, because see, we got public housing units out at Madison, we got units out at Homes of Granite Mountain. It's the program and not the site that money goes back to.
The other part of that, we know that the underground structure is weak, and flooding. But, in talking with the board and with the ED, we know that the presence of maintenance over there will cut down on a lot of these issues.
Yeah.
And we're working to remedy that. And certainly you get the adjustment back when the issue is resolved, from the company. So I think there are some things that we can do in the interim, with maintenance on the ground to curtail that. We've been handicapped at Sunset by not having maintenance on the ground. But we're working to see if we can remedy that issue where there is support for it. I mean, there has to be support there until RAD actually takes place.
Takes over. Okay.
Yeah, 'cause
I do
that money
understand.
should go into the public housing account and not Sunset.
It's not just, I wasn't saying it was just all, because if you look at your resolution, it does include Madison 1. I made sure I depicted that in the resolution. But is there an amount, I guess we can discuss this, like what do we
Well-
want to put, if any, to Sunset with it going rad at this point?
My personal
No.
objection, I wouldn't put anything in the Sunset,
Okay,
since it's going to RAD within the next 30 days.
okay.
But that's just my opinion.
Okay, well, it will go in the public housing pot of money. That's where it will go. That's pretty much all that I have. If you guys, unless you guys have any questions on any reserve amounts or HCV.
HCV looks good. However, that's a discussion we need to have. I see some of the recaptured funds have went back out, but not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot.
But, like you said, that has to do with lease up.
Yeah. Which is part of what you guys were talking about, Erica.
And I think
Wanna get one
there's
on
an
HCV.
education process that has to take place,
Mm-hmm.
that how Lisa hurts the agency,
Yes, Lord.
how the low occupancy rate hurts the
It
agency.
does. It really
So,
does.
whether we're talking about, the towers, or we're just talking about plain old Section 8,
Mm-hmm.
there has to be a conversation that makes a clear explanation of what leasing up. And certainly from the other side of the house, the investors let us know, the occupancy rate, how badly that impacts the relationship in its entirety.
Right.
So I would hope, Director, at some point, there's a clear explanation, to staff about the impact of lease ups.
It is, because it impacts COCC as well.
Mm-hmm.
We don't receive as much management fees and bookkeeping fees and
You got
different.
nothing to manage.
That's right, there's no manage, and that's the revenue issue part, some of it
Yeah.
that we're having.
And we're starting to have that discussion
Mhm.
agency-wide in the all-staff meetings and helping the staff to understand how each role touches lease-up at the end of the
Touches
day.
everybody, touches
From the
everybody.
inspector to the
Bottom line.
specialist, yes, so that bottom line.
Anything else?
Chairman, with regard to finance and what Tamara mentioned about the $258,000, there is a resolution for that transfer over to the public housing, so it is in this packet.
Okay.
And also with
Yeah.
regard to the Section 8,
Mhm.
the release of the fair market rents
Mhm.
that went out September 1st, that resolution is also in this
Okay.
packet.
Yeah, I just don't want to put hypothetically $300,000 in the public housing, and we don't see no benefit operationally.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you, ma'am.
All right.
Okay, Chairman, if you're ready, it's me today, procurement. Okay. So, flipping over to the procurement report. So what I'm doing is reviewing the files to ensure that all of the requesters who received approval for a renewal of their contract, that they've been notified of such formally. And Tamara mentioned it briefly, but what we're doing is, after this meeting, and if the board approves the resolution, which I think you will, for the transfer of funds to the public housing reserves, we'll get that over to Corey to get that moving. If that's what he needs, we'll give it to him. And in terms of real estate broker services, I know this is so important to the board. So the contract has been sent over to Dawn Realty and Associates, and we are just about there. She's eager as well. So she is reviewing, and I told Commissioner Lindsay, or Vice Chair Lindsay, by the time this board meeting happened, that contract would have been in her court, and I bet you it's probably in my inbox right now with the signature. So had to just do a little work on the contract piece to make sure it's copacetic. But that's where we are. She's eager to get going as well.
So you're saying it's already signed?
It's not signed, it's on our end, wanted to do our due diligence, and now it's on her end for review.
Okay.
So they've looked at the legal description, all of that is
Yes,
taken care of.
yes.
And
We've already
No
drawn
doubt.
down our properties from the Placer County, just so,
Yes.
we'll just know all of them. But we know in particular that one on Main Street, that's a priority because we ready to sell and they're ready to buy, so.
Yeah, and, I guess the consciousness of how long it takes us
Yes, sir.
to turn over.
Yeah.
our activities, you know, that's vendor irritation. It's not only vendor irritation when we're dealing with clients and folks who want to do business with us.
Yeah.
And I know we went through several things trying to appease the whole issue about the realty,
Yeah.
the person, project of the RFP of getting that person in there. But I would hope that from our point, that we're communicating with the folks who are trying to do business with us. Because I can tell you, the people on Main Street wear my phone out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no,
Yes. So we need some kind of communications that goes to them to give them some idea of where we are. Because I don't want people to think that we don't want to do business because of some of the hoops that we're having to jump through to appease those folks that we're trying to put on contract. Because this has been more than almost a year. Yeah, almost, well, if it's not been a year, in the process of just trying to get this done.
But in this particular situation with the city or whoever, I mean, that sort of convoluted the issue.
Well,
That's the question.
you mean,
And it shouldn't be with the rest of the properties, I guess is what.
well, it depends on
Yeah,
what funds
okay.
we use for those properties.
Well, it's
With,
gonna,
with this one, we can
yeah.
settle with no problem,
okay, it's gonna be more then, it's gonna be more,
But if it's restricted, we got to go through
Yeah.
SAC and
yeah.
HUD.
But that wasn't the case with this.
No, it's not the case with
And
Main
this-
Street,
That's what I'm
right?
saying, this one drove up and drove and drove.
We just didn't have
So-
anybody looking after our interests, quote unquote, real
Yeah.
estate firm.
Yeah.
But I would ask, as we go through this, with all of the new assessment of properties,
Mm-hmm,
should these properties that we own be reassessed?
of course. If we ain't gonna build on them, get rid of them.
Yeah, but at this point, that would be something that would go over to the
Yes.
real estate entity that we need to have those properties reassessed.
And that is one of the things that, when we had our preliminary meeting before the contract is, she will review the portfolio and maintains a portfolio of properties. And so that is a part of it. Yes, ma'am, so. Okay, all right, so, well, that's where we are on that. We, just doing a little bit of, we're done with the second floor with, kind of upgrading and doing some repairs there with the exception of one, corrective that we have to do, but we're working that out, in one of our office spaces. I think Tamara already mentioned that we have successfully secured our switches. They were installed. I'm so grateful the company and Carlos worked with them. They came in on the Sunday to get us operational in time for the phones when they arrived, which we have our go-to phones, voice over IP services. They're all plugged up. So we're in phase one. So that has all happened. We'll go into the second phase of programming those phones, making sure that there's a menu there for people to get to the different offices more efficiently to improve communication. So we had significant savings and time savings with this procurement piece, so we're happy about that. But now if you call me, I can hear the phone ring. And as a matter of fact, I got a voicemail from Commissioner Lindsay that I never knew I had. When I plugged the phone up, I could hear it. So we're getting there. We're closing this tech issue that has kind of restricted our communication in a lot of ways. So that's where we are there. We are gonna move on to procuring at least one of the switches before we close out. Servers, one of the servers. We did get, and Chairman, you mentioned this morning, with the front desk, the way the phone is right now, of course, we get a lot of calls, it's a large volume. If someone is on that phone, it will kick over to voicemail. But what we did order a second phone for that front desk, and we'll have to get a cable drop for that particular phone, which they will be out next week to get that cable in. So that way that it's more people picking up that phone for the front desk.
There was some discussion about the inability to get in this morning. Has that been resolved?
So that's what I'm talking about, that voicemail, the way it is right now, if that phone is in use, it's gonna kick over to voicemail. And so what we procured a second phone for that
It's not
front
going-
desk.
I don't think it's going to voicemail.
Well, it's
just
going to
ringing.
voicemail, but voicemail is full.
And so it's just ringing?
Yeah.
So just know this part, I just shared with Chairman Lowe, we are just getting them plugged in. So you know, we're in phase one. We've got still some more things to do in terms of getting all the kinks out, getting the phone tree put in. So we're not done by any means, but we're in phase one of having procured them, gotten them plugged up, they ring, we hear them, we answer. But we're gonna work out those kinks.
I guess we're just looking at customer irritation, and this should be transparent as much as possible to the customer, in their ability to get into us. Because some of these issues that we're getting will fall out either at Fair Housing, 7 on the side, or somebody else's house that we don't want them to fall out to. So in a conversion, we are aware that there are the release and capture that goes on with that process. And I was just wondering why they didn't do it after 5, rather than doing it during work hours as part of our arrangements with them to make sure there was less issues going on that would be customer affected. But, you know, I understand that it takes a minute, did it for more than 30 years. I just think we just need to be able to communicate with the client, maybe by putting a message out there or putting a message on our website or something that makes our clients understand
Absolutely.
that we're going through a conversion and they may have a temporary issue of getting into us.
Yes, and so this feedback, I'm just learning this morning, but we are working the evenings and the weekends to get this worked out. So we try to do most of it during hours that's not working hours, which on the back end. And so there's always the unpredictability when it comes to this type of stuff, and so that's where we are. The good thing about the customer irritation now is because of the solution. Before, we just didn't have proper phones. But now we are, you know, the clouds are parting, the sun is there. We just got to get over this hump. But yeah, certainly a message on the website is in order. Yeah, thank you for that.
Well, I just hope they get
Okay.
that, the Trump, when I speak in Trump, I'm talking about that main number. Because that's probably where about 80% of our calls would come into, is that main
And it may be
Trump
a
number.
need for a message somewhere there, if you can get access to the mailbox, to put a message that's just an announcement. This is just a recurring announcement.
Although we're trying to get there, yes. So anyway, that's where we are. I know it's a very imperfect process, but it will be leveling out pretty soon. And in the meantime, we'll do what we can with additional communication on our website, and we'll get that messaging for our clients as soon as we can. So I don't have anything else on the procurement report for right now. I will move over to legal unless you have questions. Okay, we got some legal updates, but we do not have any legal updates for Marshall Nash versus MHA. That's still just kind of sitting there for now. No updates on declaration of trust. I don't think that's going to change, actually, that no additional funding identified for all these trusts that's being asked of us. But we do have an update for the Pinnacle Strategy Group versus MHA board and Kenyon Lowe Sr. So I spoke with Sylvester Smith, who's counsel on this case, and he stated that a hearing was held last month where both parties argued their cases. The court did grant to our motion to dismiss Chairman Lowe in his individual capacity. The court denied the motion to dismiss MHA and instead ordered Pinnacle to attend mediation. And if mediation is not successful, then arbitration. So the civil case, as it stands, is on pause until we go through that process. Counsel is reaching out to Pinnacle for set up some time for the mediation process. Okay, if there's no questions on that, we'll go to Victor Bogan and Henley versus MHA, which is the fallen tree situation that, from the property that doesn't belong to us. So counsel is filing a motion to dismiss, and again, the counsel, and that is Sylvester Smith. And so I spoke with him this morning. He is entering that motion in. Biddle versus MHA. So this particular case was set, we're still preparing for trial. However, I recently got word from counsel on this, that the plaintiff has agreed to a settlement conference in front of the magistrate. And so we're now settling on a date for that settlement conference, which will very likely happen in October. And so the One Call Service Group, that one, spoke with counsel this morning just to make sure nothing's changed there. He's reached out to the plaintiff to this case, and he's pretty much just waiting on the plaintiff's next move. And you might remember, this is the one where there were some bills due, but really not to us. So, waiting on the plaintiff's next move there. So this one was a pretty old one, the Arkansas Fair Housing Commission versus MHA. And we are just about to sign a settlement agreement on this one. I know the board wanted this resolved quite some time ago. Although the ink hasn't dried on this one, we are looking at MHA paying Robinson $2,500 and 8 hours of fair housing training for MHA employees at our expense, and working on some provisions or conditions that they're putting on Paris Towers, but we're just kind of working out that ownership piece and management piece, because right now that's under Gorman, so they're gonna get back with us on that. So anyway, it's just about to be behind us. And there are no updates on the Jarman versus MHA. I have a very brief update regarding ITAGS. Got a demand letter from them yesterday for some financial damages. That's been sent over to counsel, and he is working through that, and he'll reach out to their counsel. He said he was a little bit perplexed by it, so
I'm not, it don't surprise me.
Yeah.
of why they sent it, but
They
How
don't
much
surprise me.
they request?
4.5.
Is that right?
Don't
In
surprise
the
me.
dream, and it's the same figure no matter
What,
what.
is that right now?
They're talking about development or management, so,
Same.
yes, sir.
number.
So,
yes.
they owe somebody.
Don't surprise me.
So we just gonna keep it going. On the development piece, I did hear that come up. There is a resolution included in this packet. This is for the Sunset and that RAD deal. So, it actually is the first resolution in your list. So I don't have anything else for the legal report unless you have questions.
Anyone?
No, sir.
All right, appreciate you, Director Benedicto. Ms. Anthony?
On the employment side, we are going to be in search again of a procurement person due to a changeover here at MHA. There has been no movement on the executive assistant's position at this time. We're still making sure that it's being advertised and that we're clear about what that salary as well as the job description should be. Most of this, I think we're just trying to get in line to make sure what we need will be able to be a part of the organizational chart going forward, because we know that that's a demand toward the end of the year, and that everything fits neatly into the budget as we move forward with what we need here. A year ago, we were talking about restructuring, and it has taken us almost a full year to do restructuring. I do think that we're in a better position, minus a few things that we need to move forward, that opens up more economic streams for the agency, for us to accomplish a lot more than what we have in the past. But it's hard to build when you're just still having to cover up old holes. You cannot build on ground that has not been prepared to have growth. And I think we're now getting in a position to grow the agency based on the employees that we do have, the relationship that MHA is creating with CAHC, and how we move forward in our community. We're just getting the folks in place. So I think we're in a much better place this year than we were last year, and hopefully getting our numbers better.
All right. I have nothing to report. Brother Jackson?
So far, really nothing has changed. Among the towers, we've been following through with the events for the elderly people at Cumberland Towers. Yesterday we had what they call Amazon Bingo. And what it was is they had like 4 games. And the winner would get a $50 gift card from Amazon. And they performed that yesterday, and it was truly one
Set up.
But it was it's good. I mean, we've been doing a lot of events. They had a health fair, I believe it was last Wednesday. Baptist came out, UAMS came out, and they did health screening, which was pretty good. A lot of people found out some stuff about themselves that they didn't know. The coordinator, who I'm working with, close, because she lets me know about the certain events that she's having. Like I said, the last one we had was yesterday. Other than that, I did get a report that Power Towers is in need of hot water. The hot water keeps going out, and one of the residents who told me said that he confronted Mr. Mays about it, and they said they had to do something with the boiler. And they said, and I don't know how true it is, but he said they don't have no money to buy a new boiler.
That ain't our problem.
That's what I'm saying, it's not.
That ain't our
but
problem.
He was telling us,
Government needs to fix it.
yeah, they do, and so.
And that's a health issue.
Yeah.
It is a health
Yeah.
issue, it is, so, other than that, that's the only thing I've come across.
Now, if the city has to get involved, they're gonna call a commercial inspector to deal with it. And no hot water is a life-threatening violation. Could be just like Big Country. They have the option to shut that facility down and kick everybody out, okay? Not to say that they're gonna do that, but that's an option.
That is, yeah.
So, I mean, it would behoove to have that conversation with Gorman to go ahead and fix what needs to be fixed.
Other than that, that's my report.
Because we ain't trying to be another big country.
Well, boilers were part of the conversation when the rehab was going on in the first place.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure why it would need a new boiler or someone who is technically able to go up and fix the boiler. But boilers were certainly a part of the replacement under the rehab.
Because I believe that was on the same discussion they had with the transformers.
Let me ask you, who has Ms. Mays talked to with Gorman?
Who she would cut?
No, who has she talked to about getting it
Oh, I
fixed
don't
with
know.
Gorman?
Like I said, I just found out from a resident yesterday.
And she is Gorman.
Yeah, she is going, so I mean, we have that
She's
conversation.
That's an internal.
She's that property manager, I
Yeah.
think.
She's
Yeah, I
an
had a
area.
conversation with her and see how far up the chain she has done, it passed the buck up, okay? Because that makes no sense, people not having hot water, can't cook, can't bathe. So, I mean, I would have that conversation with her to see how far up the chain
Okay.
she put it,
Get in
and
touch
what
with
type
her.
of priority she put on it.
And if in fact it is a problem that has been reported, and there's always a chance.
All right, Brother Lindsey.
I don't have anything to report that our director did not cover in our meeting. I think it's important that this 26th day, that we come up with some realistic figures that we can live with, work with. On the 26th, right on?
That's right.
All right,
Can we agree upon a date on the week of the 26th?
26th.
I think that, well, Mondays are horrible.
Monday is the 26th.
Okay.
I said the week of the 26th.
Mhm.
Can we decide
Another
upon a date?
optional date.
Well,
Well,
Whatever
look-
you guys want, I'm
good.
Okay, well, that's one, why don't you look at your calendar and see what's the
Well,
best
Monday's
time?
the 26th,
Yeah, so,
We know.
and then Tuesday's the 27th.
28th.
We had a call on
About
Tuesday.
Wednesday. I was gonna
Wednesday.
say,
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Wednesday
Wednesday is a good day.
Probably the only day, yeah, that would be the
Wednesday.
28th.
28th.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds good.
I'll send something.
Okay,
Put a time on there.
What time you like?
10 o'clock. Get it over with.
Okay.
And just a point of privilege while we're talking about numbers and dealing with finances and other things, CAAC has hired a part-time director of finance, and she'll be working closely with us as we begin to do that joint thing that we have to do at the end of the year. It has to do with audits and other transactions that involves MHA and CAAC. And I'd like to introduce to the body Regina Pierce, who is the finance director for CAAC.
Welcome, Ms. Pierce.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Gorman on the line?
Nope. They on the line, but they ain't present.
Mr. Jackson?
You're, yes, sir. My update is really, really brief, so.
And I would ask the body to join me in wishing Mr. Jackson happy belated birthday. He did get
Yeah,
a
happy
year
birthday.
older. Can't tell that you look great.
Hey.
Oh, I can feel it, though.
Amen.
The update is really brief. We presented the website last time that I met. Our team is working closely with Director Benedicto, as she's stated earlier, and being pretty much fully staffed, we're in a good
Yes,
place.
just
in terms
about
of
there,
your-
yes.
In terms of your senior leadership, we are working, I believe that first meeting is with the 21st of
Yes.
September, to start scheduling some one-on-one interviews with senior leadership to make sure that there are any particular needs that they'll be requesting for the website, that we can update the design and move forward. Now, in the interest of time, we're still moving forward with the design as it exists, and any of those additional findings that are revealed, we'll integrate those into the design and keep moving. So, worst case scenario, if there's something that is shared, we'll certainly get the site up standing with the existing content, existing functionality, and then we'll add those additional components as Director Benedicto and this board sees fit based on senior leadership sharing with us. Are there any questions about anything else? That's our primary deliverable at this point, is getting that site completed, standing up and public facing. Is there anything else that anyone would like to ask me about in particular? MHA?
There was a discussion with the developer pertaining to another resident meeting. And are we responsible for that, the resident meeting, or is Gorman taking the lead on the resident meeting and notification and the whole dynamics of that
I
resident?
think Gorman, since it's their baby, I think they should be taking a lead on it, but I'm open.
Well, I'm saying it's, Sunset is still ours, we ain't closed.
No, this had to do with the URA.
No, that was another resident meeting just to bring them
Up to
up to speed.
Yeah, I still think it's Gorman.
Yeah, but I think you,
But we push out the notifications
Yeah,
right.
when
Push
Tina's
out.
here. She manages that, makes sure
so I
They get the
didn't know if there
letters.
was any letter or anything that.
there's a letter.
Okay, so that we needed to make sure it said what it needs to say, because one of the things in that conversation was reassurance to the residents. Because based on their responses on the relocation, they were still kind of shaky about
They
what's
are.
going on. So I'm just asking, is there a piece that we're joining in, or are we putting that on Gorman?
We're gonna join in because they're still our residents.
Yeah, they are.
And we just feel that sense of responsibility to be a part of that communication. So we'll certainly be working with Gorman, but we'll make sure that communication gets out in crafting that. So we'll work with you as well on that.
Per the conversation in that meeting, I've already placed a call to Kinswin to figure out where we would live compared to where they are. I didn't have any updates on that today. From my understanding, again, as a third-party vendor, I want to be careful how I communicate this, but it felt more like we were pushing the need for the communication, and as long as they didn't have to pay for it, they were amenable to it.
Well,
So
no,
I didn't want to
Swanton
necessarily.
asked, it was his question, that whether or not we should have another
And
resident.
I said the more
Yeah,
communication.
it wasn't our request, it was
Right.
theirs. But I'm like you, Director, they're still our residents, so we're gonna do right by the residents.
That's right.
Yeah, and I will certainly, my firm will do as directed. My take on it, I felt like there was more of a housekeeping question, and I don't know if he was really committed to the effort. And then when Chairman said, by all means, more the merrier, and he
Yeah.
echoed, I think it was, be careful what you ask for. So I think now I'll await the correspondence from Kent, and then I'll figure out where we can add some value. One of the things I may ask them to do is that certainly they are our residents, so we definitely want to make sure that we communicate in a way that's effective. I believe at the time Letitia was talking a little bit, but she thought based on her database she could make some contacts and maybe make that happen. So if they're comfortable that they can be effective in ensuring that we get some good reach and some frequency in reaching out to our residents, by all means. And then I tried to echo, I just wanted to make sure that we managed expectations in the messaging. That's my big concern. I don't want to necessarily execute another public gathering, but we're not really clear on why we're gathering,
Right.
and then really be intentional in trying to address any of what we believe some of those anticipated concerns might be from the residents. I know the one at that point we were discussing in terms of will there be any negative impact in terms of their housing units, in terms of being relocated, and a number of other issues that we discussed. So I will provide an update to Director Benedicto and this board in terms of where Kent Swinton is and his thinking with that, and then you guys can give me some direction. Commissioner Anthony, on how you like for us to proceed.
That we would provide as much information and contact, how they can contact us.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
they still have questions, or Letitia, if it's a relocation, if we could do something that provides somewhat of a directory
Yes, ma'am.
of contact information,
Directory
if
of
they
contact.
away from everybody else in the house wanna ask the question, and
Yes,
they
ma'am.
might have been too embarrassed to ask the
That's
public,
true.
that there's a contact, directory for folks to call into, and even if it's just leaving messages where they get a call back, to get their answers and get updates. They should be able to get updates until the point in time that we're ready to close.
Yeah, to your point, and we just have to figure out, is there gonna be one main hub number or point of contact, or do we have multiple points
I
of
think there
contact
should be
based on your
multiple.
question?
I think there should
Yes,
be
ma'am.
multiple,
So we may need to think through
especially
that.
those updates.
Well, when you start talking about multiple numbers, then folks going, I just don't want no excuses.
But you don't have-
even-
I don't care if you're just standing out in front answering that question.
Yeah, but even with one number, I know sometimes we didn't get overloaded. I just think multiple numbers were convoluted, but
Well, if we had just one number, then it should have a menu of what you're.
I agree.
what you're
I agree with that.
If
Yeah.
you're calling for an update on
Mhm,
relocation,
mhm.
if you're calling for update as to the progress of the development, whatever that, or if you're needing information on
Mhm.
who to contact, if we
Mhm.
got a menu, then yeah, they could choose the menu, and it's 1-800 number. So
Okay.
that
Yeah.
works.
So with that being said, I hear twofold, Chairman and Commissioner. There's going to be a strategy for messaging them, and then there's gonna need to be some thought in terms of infrastructure on once they connect with this. How do we wanna route those individuals based on that? Now, I know our current toll-free number, that's been our RAD hotline, we've been driving contractors to, has been the historical method of driving folk to MHA, and it typically is an answering service that then directs emails back to this office. We've had, some challenges with that. So I want us to be mindful as this group has talked about staffing, that this might create a staffing situation where we really need a live person who's knowledgeable enough on how to route folk. Because if our residents have to make too many steps, they're gonna get frustrated. So we need to just make sure we're mindful of that. So as you talk about the director, is that a live person that then, based on your question, will route you to that said department? Which means we may need to make sure those departments are prepared to get any influx of calls that come in based on the messaging that we put in place. So once we talk with Kent, sounds like we might need to get together, the three of us, because typically what Kent does for Gorman is directed to the young lady in his office that's not public facing, and there's been some challenges with that. So we just need to make sure that we figure out who's gonna own what to ensure that this body is not here a month from here frustrated because we've got tons of residents complaining about they called
And it's
not
a
been
short
serviced
term,
properly.
it's a short term, because we're only talking maybe 60 days at a max.
Yes, ma'am.
To be able to have to do that, so
Yeah.
it's not a hard, it shouldn't be a heavy lift for us to make that happen.
Okay.
I hear you clearly. So we've got our marching orders in terms of communicating with you, Director Benedict, on that. We'll continue to move on website activity. Is there anything else this body has any questions, comments, or concerns about?
Good.
If not, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so much. We'll keep working.
All right, Mr. Jackson, appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Director Benedicto?
Okay, well, the only new action, it looks like, we've got a date for the work session for the board, for the budget discussion, which is September 28th at 10 a.m. I'm just gonna confirm, is that here?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so we'll make sure all of our calendars are marked for that. But I don't have anything further for that particular item. Following that, of course, are the resolutions some have already referenced in the earlier part of the report. Chairman Lowe, I do ask that one be tabled. And that's the resolution authorizing the job description for the Housing Choice Voucher / Section 8 lead specialist position. Just want to have more engagement with Ms. Brumfield and with the employment committee before presenting that one.
6842, correct?
Yes, sir.
Hey.
6840, is that MHA?
That's the MHA. Well, you know, there were two versions that Paige put together, one for MHA and one for CHC. I know Tamara printed out the CHC ones.
6840 is where we're authorizing the two be site-based.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. She actually combined the 50 and the two being the site-based, 50 being the Section 18. Or wait a minute, am I saying that correctly? Yeah. For the RAD conversion.
Are we gonna do this one at a time?
I'm at y'all's pleasure.
Motion to take them all together.
Well,
Unless
we're leaving out
Leaving out 42. 42.
42.
two, with the exception of 42 that has been tabled.
Second.
Wait a minute, what motion is on the table?
The motion, we've tabled, there's motion first to table resolution 6842.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second that we table resolution 2822-09-6842. All in favor of the motion to table, please say aye. All opposed, none.
Motion to take remaining resolutions 6840, 6841, 6843 and 6844 together.
Second.
Been moved and proper second for the adoption of resolutions 2022-09, 6840, 41, 43, and 44.
Yeah.
All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no.
You got a little delay there.
Well, I'm taking a point of privilege here. September 30th is my last official day on this board.
Yeah.
And it's been a blast for the last 12 years. Even though we may fight like cats and dogs, you know I love everybody at this table. And it's out of that love and understanding that we can move things forward. But going forward, appreciate the support, appreciate the reappointment, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Just a little bit of announcement, CAAC needs to meet right directly after this meeting to handle one piece of business that has to do with the coupling resolution dealing with the TPV vouchers.
Not only that, just put out there for the general public with Ms. Anthony, there will be a Rights After Wrong at Henderson Middle School this coming Saturday from 9 until 3. So if you need some legal help, need any type of legality, come on out and pay them a visit.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn, Chairman.
Second?
Been moved. Second for the motion to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. We are adjourned.
Okay, Randy, if you'll call me, then I
Give
can
me
pull
one
you
more.
in on this meeting.
Give me one more. Oh, all right, you got 2 of them on there.
Oh, that's not,
That's one.
it's,
That's one. I need one more.
yeah.
Recording stopped.
There we go.
Okay, this is good. Okay, Director, hold on just a minute, let me call this to order. Could I have the gavel, please?
Amen.
Anybody bring the gavel down?
I'll be